David Frangioni, modern drummer, here on stage with Chris Maas, on tour with Sting, and we're gonna take you through Chris's rig. It's an awesome setup. I can't wait for you guys to see it. All right, so here is the rig. Chris,
Yes, sir.
Let's go around the drums. Let's start with the side snare. What's happening over here?
This is classic Ludwig acrylite, 14x5. This is actually a vintage 1970 drum. I picked this up last year in Nashville, and I mean, yeah, you can never go wrong with an acrylite. You know, it's like one of the drums that are truly tested and stood the test of time. This one acts a little bit more like an auxiliary drum, so we have snares off most of the time, more like a timbali, especially for a lot of the sort of reggae stuff that we do. You know, you get like accents on the side. There's only a few songs where we change it up, and I actually throw the snares off the main snare, and then throw them on here, and then basically reverse. And then yeah, so moving on to the main snare, which is a 14x5 Ludwig Black Beauty, another iconic snare.
Yep.
In the
This one a modern day.
This is a modern day one, exactly.
And this is the crack snare, right?
Yeah,
the high
absolutely.
pitch.
That's the high pitch, super high pitch.
And this one is when the snares are on. This is more of the tone.
This is more
and
tone.
Body snare.
Correct.
Okay.
This one is really, you know, I think across the career of the Police and as well as Sting,
right?
There's you know, from Stuart Copeland all the way to Josh Freese, Zach Jones. You know, before I sort of got the gig, people were always like that's a iconic snare sound, especially with Stuart, you know, and Vinny as well, like those.
Right.
So we cranked this up really high, and it really fits the sound, especially of the older material of the Police and stuff. So
right, because you have to be able to play such a vast catalog of different, not only songs but sounds.
Different drummers.
You're right, the drums are so identifiable as you go through the different iterations of Sting's music.
Absolutely. And every drummer before me, it's like I always reference, you know, the Mount Rushmore of drummers. You know, it really, like, no artist that comes close to, in my opinion, maybe like Steely Dan was amazing, you know, but just the amount of legendary drummers that have come before me on this gig, and to be able to capture their signature sounds and, you know, but still make it my own, which the boss is very adamant that I try and do, is really, it's a challenge, you know, because I'm such a big fan of all the drummers that came before me, you know, so it's really a great challenge to do that every night.
And only with 2 snares and no triggering of any kind, right? So all the sounds are what they are.
All the sounds are coming straight from the drum. So this is, for the first time in a very long time, actually, I've you know, I was with the American artist called Maggie Rogers, young female, fantastic singer, last year, which was much more elaborate setup, much more of a hybrid setup with, you know, trigger pads and KT10s and, you know, all the whole hybrid world was a lot more elaborate. There's track running, and with this, it's basically just the 3 of us. And, you know, I don't think the boss has even got a pedal board. Like, he literally just has a bass, plugs into the amp. That's it. And then with the drums, same thing. Like, there's no triggers. There's no gimmicks. It's literally just drums. And same with Dominic. He plays the whole set on one guitar and just plugs in and goes. You know.
And were you playing the Black Beauty with Maggie Rogers, or a different snare?
I was playing a different snare then. I was playing a different snare.
This was purpose driven.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, and you've got the controlled sound remote, controlled sound X coded.
Correct.
And then here, an Emperor.
Emperor
so
coated.
You've got the 2-layer.
Yes.
But again, with the dot.
With the dot. Yeah, I really like the dot. Just gives you a bit more longevity, you know, on the head itself, because I hit pretty hard every night. So, you know, in
and
order
a lot
to,
of rim in these.
a lot of rim,
in these
a lot of rim.
songs.
Like every snare shot is pretty much like a rim shot.
Okay.
And then, you know, there's a lot of sort of more delicate sort of like reggae stuff, you know, where that involves a lot of rim click and stuff.
Yep.
And then
these are stock rims?
absolutely.
The hoops are all stock Ludwig.
Hoops are all stock.
Okay.
Hoops are all stock.
So now we've got your tom array. What are you playing?
So these are all, the whole kit is basically a Ludwig classic maple.
Okay.
Set up, the sizes are 12 by 8, 13 by 9, 14, 14, 16, 16. I think they're quite classic sizes. The kick drum is a 22 by 14.
Oh, okay.
And the heads, we use emperors, clear emperors on the top. We actually still have the stock heads on the bottom because we just got this kit for the start of this tour. So
and those kind of ambassador-like.
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so
single ply,
clear.
exactly.
Okay.
And the reason we put the color tones on is because we were basically just having a bit of fun with them. So we ended up making them look like the front cover of Synchronicity. So it's the colors
cool.
of
you know, I was
Synchronicity,
trying
blue,
to,
yellow,
I was saying to
and red.
myself, is the lighting guy that good? Because these look like
He
they're
is that good.
perfectly
He is that good,
lit
but
colors.
in
And
this
I'm thinking, I was trying to work out like, wait a second, but these are in fact color tones.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so
in the
the Emperor
Synchronicity colors. I love it.
Synchronicity colors.
I love it. That's fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to see the B-roll of that because this is really super cool. So you're going to stay with that motif through the tour. You're gonna leave the colored heads.
Yes.
And they don't really affect the sound. They're still double ply.
Yeah, they're still double
emperors.
ply.
It's just, you just get the cool visual.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
right.
awesome.
It's
Okay.
a Power Stroke 3 on the beta, and it's just a stock head coated with a logo on the front.
We have 5 by 14 with both drums.
Both drums.
Okay.
That's correct.
And it looks like DW and Ludwig hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything is Ludwig hardware, Atlas Pro. All of these like new little extensions that they've made, which are great. We're really loving these. They've really
It's a clean look.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The only thing we've added recently is we've actually added this secondary hi-hat.
These are big boys.
Yeah, so these are, I think, 17s or 18s.
Hi-hats. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
and we sort of use them more for, again, a bit like the auxiliary snare. This is more for effects, like sort of trashy effect symbol stuff.
Cool.
But everything is Ludwig hardware apart from the hi-hat stand is a DW5000. My main kick drum pedal and only kick drum pedal is a DW5000.
Yeah, single pedal.
Yeah.
Double chain drive.
Yes.
5000.
Yes, 5000.
Okay, with the felt beater.
With the felt beater.
Okay.
It's just...
It's the sound. It's warm but punchy.
It's the sound. It's what I've always played. I tried to go to the 9000 at one point because I thought, you know, that because the number's higher, that has to be better.
Yeah, definitely. It's a natural thought, but it's a different feel.
It's a very different feel. I prefer the 5000. And but yeah, so the drums are pretty much fresh out of the factory. Uli over at Ludwig, they were incredible by, you know, offering to help me create this kit with them together.
The finish custom or stock?
The finish is a one-off. Yeah. I asked if it was possible to create this sort of like Mardi Gras finish.
Okay.
And he said they're no longer doing that. But then we ended up finding a vendor who said he was able to supply us with enough to wrap the whole kit.
So it's wrapped, not painted.
Correct.
Okay, and that's where the confetti look
exactly.
is. So it's a custom wrap.
That's correct.
Very nice.
So it's the only one like it. But it's, you know, I always loved the old like Rogers and the old Gretsch that had the Mardi Gras. And Ludwig did do a series of them a couple of years ago, I believe, but I wasn't in tune enough at the time to pick one up. So I was very lucky to get this one. And again, you know, because you get the sort of the very playful colors in the wrap, we thought we'd reproduce, you know, that sort of theme with the heads and everything. So it's
love it.
Yeah,
and it's one of one.
And it's one of
Yeah,
one.
and now
which
being
is,
played with Sting, so it's got even more cachet. That's extremely cool. So let's go over the cymbals.
Yeah, absolutely. So the cymbals are all Sabian. I've been a Sabian endorsee for as long as I've been a Ludwig endorsee. And
Which
a
is how
Vater.
long?
12, 13 years. 13 years? Something like that.
So you've been with them a long time. So you've been with Sabian and Ludwig and Vader long enough to know how they handle the road.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's really what it comes down to, right? When you're making a decision, sound, of course, is what draws all of us to any instrument's brand. But staying power and reliability is what keeps us with that brand.
Absolutely.
So we've got Sabian here.
Yeah.
We've got 15-inch
groove hats.
HHX.
Yeah.
Groove top and bottom?
Groove top and bottom. Yeah. Slightly heavier bottom, but they're 15-inch, which at first when I learned about, you know, the potential of me coming on to do this gig, I immediately thought that Stuart always played like smaller hats, you know, and I wanted to get that sound. But then I've been playing 15-inch hats for a very long time now. And I thought it made more sense for me to bring that onto this gig, see if it works. And if the boss then would turn around and be like, it's too slushy or too dark or something.
Right.
And then, yeah, we have, this is an 18-inch complex thin HHX. The whole line is pretty much HHX based.
Okay.
So there's some oddities around, but most of it is HHX.
Okay.
So this is a complex thin 18-inch, then this is a complex thin 19. These work really well together. They're just about dark and sort of thin enough that they crash when you hit them hard, but then the decay is quite quick. So they
so
don't
a large
linger.
splash.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They don't linger too long. And then obviously, you know, it wouldn't be the Sting gig if you didn't have.
You got to have some of the little trinket, you know, quick sounds.
Exactly. Again, more sort of for effects, but you know, since the days of the Police, that every drummer friend of mine, as soon as I was able to share the news that I was going to be doing this, was like, how many splashes are you going to buy?
Right.
And so I got away with 2 so far. This is an air splash, which is incredible. This is actually my favorite out of the 2. This one, again, with the holes in it, it's almost like the ozone, you know, that they do. Of course,
yep.
And this guy just dies off, but it's very, very high pitch sound, but it dies off very, very quickly, and really, really great. I use that a lot. And then this one is a 10-inch HHX, which again ties in with the rest of the setup. And together, you know, they're slightly darker pitch than the AAX. And
so you can play, you know, much more intricately on that, like Stuart would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he kind of invented that approach.
Totally.
Because it's so quick on the decay.
Exactly.
Oh, that's nice.
And then to the main ride cymbal, this is a 22-inch Legacy. This is quite thick. It's also an HHX, Legacy HHX 22, but quite thick, quite dark. But the main thing about this is that it crashes really well. And I think the most important thing about the main ride cymbal is the bell.
Yeah.
Because the boss loves the ride bell. Like every time we go over a song that we haven't played in a while and he wants to change up the drum part, his go-to is to say to me, play the bell. He loves that sound, and you'll hear it tonight in pretty much every song, to the point where this is actually our second one of the tour, because I broke the first one by simply from it cracked around the bell. Which
because they're not for heavy hitters, the Legacy.
Exactly.
It's a little lighter touch typically, but a great sounding cymbal.
Unbelievable.
And it's got enough definition when you're not crashing it that you can, in the non-bell parts, you can get through as well.
Yes. And then this is an Artisan 20, I believe. Yeah, 20 Artisan. This is the only Artisan we've got on currently. You know, again, usually for sort of more lighter jazz-based drumming, but I just love the sound of it. It fits in really well.
Incredible sounding cymbals.
And it fits in really well with these 2, so you can, you know, alternate. And then this is a groove ride, 21-inch groove ride, which I've had in my setup for such a long time. I've always had this 21 inch. I don't know why, but there's something about it. As a secondary ride cymbal, it's slightly higher pitched than the Legacy. And I use it a lot on the sort of quieter songs like Fragile or Shape of My Heart or some, or yes, the quieter songs, I play a lot of that. Or if I play anything with brushes,
And
I go
another
to
big
that.
bell.
Another big bell. That one is a raw one, so it's slightly drier sound than this one, but still a beautiful ride cymbal. And then like we said before, these are basically
Anthology.
makeshift hi-hats.
Okay. So
Made
two
out of
crashes?
2 crashes. Yeah.
Okay.
We had a spare hi-hat stand, and I was looking for an accessory to basically be able to just, have that sort of trashy stack sound. And so we came up with the idea of just putting a hi-hat stand there, which is still, it's not the final piece of the puzzle, but for now, it'll do the job.
And a China.
21 inch Holy China. It's such a great cymbal. Again, for that sort of quick cutaway, quick decay, trashy sound. Like they sound fantastic. I even sometimes in certain songs I actually ride on it,
Nice.
because they actually give a great sound with just played like an actual ride cymbal. But then when you really go for it, it's fantastic sound.
And Vader 5B.
Vader 5Bs, yes.
Your signature stick.
Signature, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. 5Bs, I was using 55As, like sort of anything in between a 5A and a 5B for the longest time. And because of just how hard I hit, I started breaking quite a lot of them. And so we upped it one and went for the 5B for this tour. And then Vader were very sweet to put a signature and a logo on there, which
and wood tip.
Wood tip, yes,
Yep.
Always wood tip.
No, those are great. These look fantastic. And Sting 3.0.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
So anything else I noticed is, again, is
Yes.
that just for in-ears, or is
No,
that tied to the
that's tied.
Rhodes?
So this is quite a new product by a company called Ice Amps, based in Amsterdam, or just outside of Amsterdam. A fantastic guy called Peter, who I've met years ago, and they engineered this drum throne, which is basically like a Porter and Davies.
Right.
But the amp that usually with the Porter and Davies, you have the big sort of little flight case.
Right.
Big little flight case
For
next to it for the amp, and all your controls are on there. Whereas with this, the amp is actually this little part here, and this just clicks on the back of the drum stool, and you have all your controls over here. So you're no longer having to carry the extra case, and it's really, really, really comfortable. It's a really, really comfortable chair. We've got a towel on it because, in order not to ruin the suede.
Oh, I see.
Which, inevitably will
And it
happen.
gives that extra thump and
It
bottom.
gives an extra thump. It has a speaker built. Sorry.
Coupled with the side fill.
Coupled with the side fill, you basically get from the speaker inside of the throne, you get the extra thump and the extra feel from.
And who's the manufacturer?
Ice Amps. So it's EICH Amps.
Okay. Nice.
And they've just rolled these out. I was fortunate enough to get one to take on the road with me, and I'm sort of like trying it out for them, and it's working
so far so
really,
good.
really well. Yeah.
And
I'm a big
I noticed
fan.
you have brushes and like a bamboo brush stick.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the side table here is currently a bit of a mess, but it's drum key, in-ears for tonight, shout mic in case something goes wrong, brushes, Vater, wiretap, retractable. Only play these on one song currently, which is Fragile. And these guys, these are great. Splash stick, we have this one. We have a couple of different variations of it. We've got this one. which is the traditional splash stick. And then lastly, we have
Are you
this
using them
one.
on certain songs?
I am. So this one is the splash rock stick. So these three I use on different songs. Songs where, for example, I will alternate and I will have a stick in my right hand to get the definition on the right cymbal.
Okay.
But then sometimes a stick backbeat will be too loud. So he'll be like, can you use something lighter, in which case I'll use, usually I use this splash stick, which hasn't got the exposed middle, which is great. And we use that on a couple of different songs. And same with, timpani, mallets for cymbal washing.
Sure.
T6. And that's sort of
a lot of different colors coming out of the kit, depending on what you use for the stick
absolutely.
and how it's going to respond and sound.
Totally.
So can you take us for a spin here? Can we hear the kit?
Sure.
All right,
of
let's
course,
do it.
Of course.
Check it out, everybody. Modern Drummer, thank you for checking this rundown out. Chris Maas on tour with Sting, sounding awesome. And be sure to check out the podcast that we filmed together to learn all about Chris's rich history, his journey through drumming, the amazing artists with whom he's worked. So as always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Thank you for being the most valued part of our community. And thank you, everyone. From Chris Maas, David Frangioni, Modern Drummer, we'll see you soon.